Hi, and welcome to How to Grow Your Business with Kevin Willett. As you can see, I got my friend Penny with us from Total Circle HR. Hi, Penny. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course, my friend. So, Penny, before I start asking questions, tell us a little bit about yourself and your HR background.
Sure. I have over 25 years of HR experience. I'm really aging myself here, but I didn't start out in HR. I have 10 years of operation experience, which to me helps me look at the totality of a business. So I spent years in corporate America in different types of organization. And 2.5 years ago, I decided to leave corporate America and open up Total Circle HR.
Penny, I agree with you. Having the background in operations does is it's an asset to me because many times when I'm talking to HR, like we should do this. Well, I see why from an HR perspective, but this is what's going to happen from an operational standpoint if we do that. So having that background makes it a little more real world. So Penny, one of the things I keep seeing in all the articles online is retention. Companies are really struggling to get people. And it made me laugh because, I'm still a little older than you. I'm 60. I think I'm still got a couple of years on you, a couple of years on you. But growing up, it was common to have family and friends who worked in the same company 30 years. Even some did the exact same job for 30 years.
Mhm.
That's not really practical anymore. You don't really see younger people, wanting to make that commitment like we did. We like, hey, I got good health benefits, I got a good job, it's safe, I'm good. Not so much anymore, right?
No, not so much anymore. And if you research it, it'll say that they watch their parents work all those hours, come home drained, and then ultimately for some get let go. And the generations that are coming up, they don't want that. It is more about that work-life balance, that word that nobody wants to use, but the generations that are coming into the workforce, they're really about, I'll get my work done. I'll work really hard, but I'm not going to give you 60, 70 hours a week. And if you can't do that for me, I'm going to move on to next.
But Penny, isn't that where the issue comes in? Because I was that person, 60
Hmm.
hours was a slow week, to be honest.
Hmm.
I mean, worked an insane amount of hours. But then as the boss, when you bring in the next generation, and they're like, well, that was your choice, buddy. That's not our choice. Isn't that where some of this seems to be clashing?
Yes, because this is the first time in probably ever that we've got five different workforces, five different generations in the workforce. And every generation, this is true, thinks that the generation coming up is
Yep.
terrible. And the generation coming up looks at that generation and says, I'm not going to do what you do. So the best employers are able to embrace all of the different generations and come to some kind of happy medium of what our company is going to offer so that you don't keep having that revolving door. Their statistics will show there are people that are not from the baby boomer and up era that will stay at a company. It's not common, but it does happen, and it's all because what is that? Where is that growth? What from that onset of when you hired me? Do I see that path going forward? Do I feel like I'm valued? Everybody wants to feel valued.
I agree. So, Penny, what's the advice? How do I develop a program that gives pretty much everyone what they need?
So I mean, let's start with, I think you really have to understand why people are leaving your company. And I think this is the hardest thing. Now, oh, let's do exit interviews. I'm in HR. I
Yep.
did plenty of exit interviews. You know what I did with that exit interview? They were leaving, they're somewhat disgruntled,
Yep.
but you really have to dig deeper to say, why are people leaving and what's the pattern, right? Because nobody actually leaves a job for money. Yes, everybody needs money and everybody wants to make more. If you asked people, do you make enough money? The answer will always be no, I don't. but what's the actual reason that people are looking? And then you have to actually take that data and say, is it in our control? Can we change that? And you have to be open to that critique, because nobody wants to hear your company's not doing X, Y, or Z, or Penny, the manager, really made me leave. So you have to be open to it. That's the biggest thing. You have to be open to the feedback that you're getting. It starts from hiring. You need to know what you're looking for. Most companies, they have no idea. They throw out a job description, doesn't even, it's pretty in the words and it attracts people. But when you sit down and actually do the job, it has nothing to do with actually what the role is. So think about it. You're setting that person up from the beginning to ultimately leave and go somewhere else. We have to listen to our employees, and this is a different mindset, because people are like, no, I'm the employer, you work for me, and you're lucky that you have a paycheck. It's that philosophy does not work anymore. Create a culture that people want to stay there, that people want to come to work. It's a different time now, pre-COVID, in COVID, post COVID, but there's still a lot of companies that are fully remote. They probably always were, or they stayed remote. So how do we build a culture when people aren't necessarily sitting next to each other? It is about recognition and reward. We have to know the generations. That's what propels them forward. They need to be recognized, and we need to have that compensation strategy and reward strategy in place, that they are seeing that growth, not just in their development, but also in their paycheck. A lot of companies make the mistake of job classification. They don't know if they want full-time. They don't know if they want part-time. They don't know if it should be hourly, if it should be salaried, and that can get you into legal trouble. And you have to act early. How many companies go, oh, I had no idea that person was even looking. I thought they were so happy. And it tends to be the quiet ones
Yep.
that work so well and fit in so well and have that skill set that they become disgruntled and then they exit. And if you really think about the cost of turnover, Kevin, like nobody can believe it. It costs you 150% of somebody's salary to keep recruiting. When you think about the cost of recruitment, the time of interviewing, training, 150%. If we acted a little bit early, we might stop that. But I always say my favorite statistic is people don't realize we're all in customer facing, no matter what company we work for. You then lose market share. You lose your customers. It's a statistic. 28% of customer satisfaction goes down when you constantly have that revolving door.
So, Penny, what's the best way for people to reach out to if they want to learn more about this topic?
Sure, I can be reached at penny@totalcirclehr.com.
Penny, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to call on this show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you.